sometimes the brightest lights make the quietest faith. Look, my name is Lena Rae. At least, that is the name the world knows. 32 years old, born and raised in the United States. An actress, a voiceover artist, a woman who somehow lived two lives at the same time. And this is the first time I have ever spoken about this part of me out loud. To be honest, my childhood felt like a long audition. I grew up in a house where creativity was currency. My mother loved theater. My father loved music, and they both believed a kid should chase her gifts wherever they led. So I learned early how to smile on cue, how to project my voice, how to listen for the subtle shifts in a room. But the truth is, I was a sensitive kid. I absorbed everything. The disappointment when I slipped a line, the pride in my parents' eyes when I nailed a school play, the little comments from relatives about how pretty I was, and how useful that could be someday. That word, useful, it followed me. By the time I hit my 20s, I was spending more time in casting offices than in my own apartment. The industry trains you to normalize strange things. The long waiting rooms, the comments about your face, the way people talk about you like you're a product on a shelf. Still, I loved performance. I loved the way a character could swallow me whole, the way my voice could shift into someone else's life for a moment. I told myself it was art. I told myself it was freedom, but I didn't know then that real freedom feels entirely different. Here's where it got dark. Quiet, dark. The kind where no one would ever guess anything is wrong. Because on the surface, I was doing fine. Booking roles, making enough money to stay comfortable, getting recognized in small but meaningful ways. But inside, I felt hollow, like I was stitched together from expectations I didn't even choose. Ask yourself why that mattered so much. And the thing is, the darkness wasn't dramatic. It wasn't some breakdown in a dressing room or a public collapse. It was the kind of emptiness that moves quietly, like fog slipping under a closed door. I would lie in bed after a shoot, still hearing the echo of the character I had played, but unable to hear my own voice. Loneliness didn't shout. It whispered. It made even the small joys feel borrowed. At times, I felt like my soul was knocking from the inside, asking to be let out, asking to be known. And the truth is, the more I succeeded, the heavier that knock became. Success didn't silence it. It amplified it. I began to realize that applause is the loudest when you feel the most alone, because it tricks you into thinking you're full when you're starving. I would wake up in the middle of the night with this strange pressure in my chest, like I was living out of alignment with something sacred, something I kept ignoring, something patient but insistent. It felt like my life was expanding on the outside and shrinking on the inside, and I didn't know how much longer I could keep pretending that wasn't true. This is where everything changed for me. It happened on a day that should have been unremarkable. I was recording lines for an animated project, something lighthearted and fun. But during a break, I stepped outside, still wearing the character's voice in my head, and suddenly the world felt muted. I remember standing in the alley behind the studio, leaning against a wall, and feeling this wave of exhaustion crash over me. Not physical exhaustion, but soul exhaustion. Like I had been running with no idea where the finish line was. Then, something simple happened. I saw a woman walking by, maybe in her 40s, dressed in plain clothes, a scarf covering her hair. She had the gentlest smile on her face, the kind that wasn't meant for anyone but God. And something inside me paused. There was this serenity on her, an anchoredness, a dignity that I had never felt in myself, even on my best days. It's strange how your life can tilt because of a moment you'll never be able to fully explain. That night, I started searching for something I didn't have the words for. I didn't know I was looking for Islam yet. I didn't know what I was looking for at all. Just something true. Look, I didn't convert because someone preached to me. I didn't convert because someone argued me into faith. I converted because something in my chest recognized Islam before my mind caught up. I started quietly, watching videos at 2 in the morning, reading articles when no one could see my screen, listening to Quran recitations with the volume so low I had to press the phone to my ear. And every time I listened, I felt that same anchoredness I saw in that woman on the street. It didn't feel foreign. It felt like home. One evening, after months of secretly learning, I drove to an Islamic center. I told myself I was just visiting, just observing. But when I sat inside, with people who didn't know my name or my work or my stage persona, I felt something break open inside me. It was simple. It was safe. It was real. A woman there smiled at me, the kind of smile that felt like an invitation without pressure. And she asked softly, "Are you searching?" I nodded. We talked. Not about fame, not about acting, not about rules, just about God, about surrender, about peace. At some point in the conversation, my hands started shaking. My eyes burned. And when she asked, "Do you want to say it?" I didn't even hear my own voice. I just heard the truth rising. I whispered the Shahada, slowly, carefully, like each word was a seed dropping into soil that had been waiting its whole life for rain. And I cried. Not pretty, camera-ready tears, real ones, the kind that wash something away. That was the day the lights dimmed on one life and rose on another. Look, I didn't suddenly become perfect. I didn't suddenly become wise. What I became was honest. Islam stripped me down to myself. It forced me to stop performing and start living. It taught me that God sees me without makeup, without scripts, without applause, and still says, "Come." But I kept it private, quiet, hidden, not out of shame, but out of protection. This industry can be unkind to anything that doesn't fit its narrative. And I needed time to grow my faith roots before the world tugged at them. Practicing in silence became this intimate act, praying between shoots, reading Quran in my car, whispering dua before stepping into a role, feeling God with me in spaces that once made me feel completely alone. And yes, there were challenges, confusion, fear, the balancing act of public life and private truth. But there was also ease, a softness in my heart that I had never known before. Islam taught me that my worth was never in my face, my voice, or my body. My worth was in my sincerity. That changed everything. If there is someone watching this who feels like they're living two lives, someone who feels the world expects one version of them while their soul whispers for another, look, listen to that whisper. It does not lie to you. If you are searching for God, be brave enough to search in silence first. Your heart deserves the privacy to grow without judgment. Learn slowly. Ask questions. Cry when you need to. And know that God sees every step you take toward Him, even the ones no one else knows about. And if you ever feel like you are too flawed, too late, too complicated, remember this. God writes stories no director could ever dream of. And mine, well, this is just the beginning. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for letting me tell this truth in my own voice. And wherever you are in your journey, may you find the peace that found me.